Thank you, and take it away, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arlene. Well, again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and being here for another cooking demo with Contra Costa Health and Fresh Approach. Today, as Arlene mentioned, I'll be making a chia seed pudding recipe. I'll be showing you how to make a big batch. Serves about 6 to 8 for about 6 to 8 servings. And what I really love about this dish is that the prep time is fairly quick. As long as you got all your ingredients together, it should take you no more than 10 minutes. And then along with that, what's really great because it is more of a meal prep kind of recipe. And so you have a meal set for you for about, again, 6 to 8 days. So again, minimal prep time. You have guaranteed a meal ready for you to go for a few days. And also with that, I'll be highlighting the delicious seasonal fruit that you'll find at the farmer's market today. That will be using for our toppings for the chia seed pudding. Okay, so again, really quick, 10 minutes. We're gonna no more than 10 minutes to prepare. And we're gonna go over that now, starting off with the ingredients. So for this chia seed pudding recipe, there's 5 main ingredients. So very minimal ingredients to start off with. First, you will need coconut milk. So I have canned coconut milk here. The recipe, it's gonna call for 16 ounces. As you see, this can, hopefully you all can see, it has about 13.5 fluid ounces. So I'm gonna use about a can and no more than half of a second can, okay? So there is, sorry, coconut milk. If you don't have coconut milk, that's totally fine. You can use coconut cream, which is another part of the coconut, but it has a higher fat content. So if you have any restrictions, just being mindful of that. However, this recipe is great with any type of milk or dairy. So you can use regular milk, oat milk, almond milk, hemp milk. They all work great with this recipe. But again, 16 ounces there, and we're using the coconut milk. Next, oh yeah, I'll talk about some of the nutritional benefits as we go through it as well. But just to highlight for the coconut milk, one, it's made out of plants, so a really great plant milk option. It's full of vitamins and minerals like potassium. So it does also depend on the type that you get, so make sure that you check the label. But yes, coconut milk, a plant-based milk, and has vitamins and minerals to offer you there. All right, so for the second ingredient, we have chia seeds. Here I have chia seeds from Trader Joe's. Chia seeds, you might know them as like a superfood. That's because they're really great because they are full of fiber. Fiber is great to help us stay fuller for longer, helps with that regular bowel movement. It also is full of omega-3 fatty acids, those fats that we want to get from whole foods like our nuts and our seeds, right? So chia seeds. For this recipe, it calls for, how many here? Half a cup. And so that's what we have here. As you see, they are just little grains of, not grains, but little seeds, right? But if you're familiar with chia seeds, once they are in some sort of liquid, they're going to form a gel and they're going to thicken and help the coconut milk get this nice thick and creamy texture to get us to our chia seed pudding. So starting off with 2 really great ingredients here, one of them being the chia seeds as well, just a lot of nutrients packed there. All right, and I will do a bit of a breakdown of prices as well and give you a final price for a single serving of the chia seed pudding that we'll make. Our second ingredient is vanilla extract. This can be optional, but it's really just to highlight some of the flavor and the sweetness into your chia seed pudding. I think it could definitely be omitted, but if you have it on hand and you like to add in that sweet flavor, go for it. For this recipe, it calls for 1 teaspoon, so very little amount and optional. Our fourth ingredient is honey. I'm just showing off here. This is local honey that I've gone at my local farmer's market. This jar here, I believe, is $7. And with that, you know, the price of honey can vary wherever you buy it, but I like supporting I like supporting my local farmer's market. For this recipe, it calls for 2 tablespoons. And with that, this recipe also works great with any sweetener of your choice. You can use agave or maple syrup as well. Honey is great because it does have some um, vitamins and minerals as well in your honey. So the honey is here also to sweeten up and add some, yeah, as a sweetener for the chia seed pudding. And lastly, just a pinch of salt, and specifically sea salt, which yes can be pricey, but we're using a very minimal amount here. And just a reminder that sea salt is a natural occurring salt, right? So it has those vitamins and minerals as well to offer us in this dish, and it's really just to amplify the flavor and add some minerals. Okay, so those are our 5 main ingredients here for our chia seed pudding. I also want to share some actually, yeah, I'll get to that once I put everything into our container. So with that, let's get started of assembly. And I'll talk about our fruit once we get to add our toppings. Some other utensils and equipment that I will be using is a container. You can use a glass container or any meal prep container that you have at home. I'll also be using a whisk and a spatula just to help me mix things in and get some of the honey out and just make sure everything is evenly distributed in my container here. So starting us off, with our coconut milk. I did make half of the recipe ahead of time so I can show you all the final product, because something about the chia seed pudding, although prep time is really fast, best results are when you make them overnight. So say you want to prep your meals ready for the week, I would suggest putting your chia seed together either Sunday morning, if you need to put your meals together that night, or Sunday evening, so it'll be ready for you Monday morning and for the rest of the week. Hopefully that makes sense. But all right, starting us off with the coconut milk. Again, for the full recipe, you'll be using 16 ounces. It is a bit clumpy because it was in the refrigerator, but we're gonna give it a bit of a mix, and once it rests overnight, all the clumps will be gone. So don't worry about that too much right now. Second to that, we're gonna pour in our chia seeds. Again, the chia seeds are gonna go in so it can add get to the thickness and the creamy texture that we want for our chia seed pudding. Just really sprinkle that about there and give it a good mix. As you see, the consistency is very liquidy. It's very watery and slooshing around. So once you put it in the fridge to settle overnight, it will thicken and turn into that pudding that I'll show you in a moment. So just not going to worry about that piece there. We're going to also get in our honey. 2 tablespoons for this recipe again that it calls for. We're going to add in our vanilla extract. Again, I think it's pretty optional, but if you have it on hand and you like that extra vanilla flavor, go for it. Beautiful. You see the honey is a bit thick there, so again, give it a good whisk and or mix. And again, overnight it will unclump. And lastly, just a pinch of sea salt, very little bit amount here. Really just doing a pinch. That's about it. All right. So that is really it for our 5 main ingredients at the base of our chia seed pudding. I did want to share some optional flavorings that you can add to your chia seed pudding if you like. But if you have picky eaters or children in your household, might be better to just have a base for your chia seed pudding and let everyone else kind of add their own flavorings. With that, I have cinnamon here. That's an optional flavoring that you can sprinkle into your chia seed pudding. I have about a fourth teaspoon here, so very little amount. Again, depending on everyone's preference, if you really like cinnamon, go ahead and put as much as you like. So that is one option you can add to your chia seed pudding. And or cacao powder if you really like that chocolatey flavor. It will make the color of your chia seed pudding change. So that might be fun for, children, or if you, again, if you like the chocolatey flavor. So two really great additional flavorings you can add to your chia seed pudding. And before we kind of transition to what the final product looks like, I'll break down kind of the price points here for the ingredients. I will say that the majority of the main ingredients you won't find at your farmer's market other than the local honey. Again, with that, the price may vary on your honey, right? Just depending on the vendor. But with that, 1 can of coconut milk is about $1.29. This was from Trader Joe's. So again, um, check your local grocery stores and make sure you buy a coconut milk that you feel good about, like in terms of price point and within your budget. But for this one, it was $1.29 a can. Also for the chia seeds, again, this is a large batch and I barely used any of it. But this, and again, the price of chia seeds can range. This was about $5.99 from Trader Joe's. So just being mindful again, buying ingredients buying ingredients that you feel good about and match your budget. But yes, this was around $5.99 from Trader Joe's. I saw it kind of went up within the last year, but you can also find it in the bulk section of your grocery store. And then as I mentioned, the honey, this was about, I think $7 from my vendor, and we only used about 2 tablespoons. So barely made a dent in it. And again, price points of the produce that you'll use and find will vary, but honey you should be able to find at some of your local farmers markets. For the vanilla extract, that will also vary as well from like, I'm not sure, high quality, low quality, but so I would say maybe $5 for some vanilla extract there. And we use a very, very small amount, just a teaspoon there. So depending on the price point there, I'll break it down at the end. And then lastly, for sea salt can be a little bit more on the pricier side, only again because it is a natural occurring salt and this is sea salt. So again, doesn't have to, this is definitely optional in your recipe. Don't buy things if you know you're not going to use it or it's beyond your price point. I think the recipe can do without this and the vanilla. But again, natural occurring salt is really great because it has vitamins and minerals. And this was maybe $6, and I've had this for over 2 years. So, I use it for my cooking, and just wanted to present that in this recipe today because again, I'm going to break down everything at the end for a single serving of that chia seed, of our chia seed pudding. All right, so I hope that was helpful, just giving a breakdown of the main ingredients that we're using here. I'm going to set this aside and show you what the final product looks like. All right, so as I mentioned, best results for chia seed pudding are overnight. Minimum, as I've prepped this before in the past, give it at minimum 2 to 3 hours and making sure you're mixing between, like if you are making this dish more last minute, but again, overnight for the best results. And as you saw from our previous, from the one that we just made, it's very liquidy. But for the chia seed that I have made overnight, as you see, it's nice and thick and yeah, it's not really watery. It's just formed really this gelatinous, or I don't know, a pudding texture, right? That's exactly what we're going for. So as you see there, all those chia seeds overnight, they really grew and expanded to get to this texture and consistency. And if anyone hasn't had coconut or has had chia seed pudding before using coconut, it's really like that tropical flavor. Um, yeah, it's I can't really explain it, but it's really creamy and tropical, really fresh. So I think as the springtime approaches soon, I'm excited to put this recipe in my rotation and hope you all try that out as well. So just wanted to give you this view of our pudding. And right here, what I have is half the recipe. Again, I had prepared some ahead of time, so I have something to show everyone today and put together a serving for you. So I'm going to set this aside and talk to you a little bit about our toppings before we put everything all together.
Lindsay, we have a quick question, if you don't mind. Does it get slimy over time?
Slimy?
Yes.
I haven't experienced that. And again, for this dish, it should last you up to 5 to 6 days, and within that time, it should not be slimy. I wonder if you could kind of call this texture slimy, but not too much. More like m- more gelatinous and pudding texture. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of like maybe if your chia seeds haven't mixed all the way, that's why it's just good to like check it in between. Make sure your sides are uh, scraped down and everything's all well combined, but it shouldn't give you a slimy texture. Thank you for the question. Good question.
We have one question, but it needs a follow-up. How many cups per recipe? So,
How many cups for per recipe
yeah,
for the serving at the end?
we don't know yet. Please clarify your question. Whoever posted how many cups per recipe, what are you referring to? We'll
Let me
see
know.
what they say.
Yes, please let me know. Um, for if it's for the coconut milk, that's 2 cups.
I
And for
think
the
it's for the
coconut
servings.
for
How
the
many
serving,
cups per serving?
yes. So I would say no more than a fourth cup or half a cup. I'm going to show everyone here. I'm probably going to do about half a cup. That's because I'm going to layer it in between with some fruit and things like that. You don't need too much. Yeah, this is half a cup. You don't need too much of the chia seeds. We want to make sure we add in some of our fixins like our fresh fruit, our seasonal fruit, some nuts and seeds and things like that. So I would say no more than half a cup. Just because the chia seeds they're pretty packed with a lot of nutrients, so you don't need too much. And then it's just great to add in your other fixins so your chia seed can last a lot longer. So half
So
a cup.
for the recipe that you presented to us, how many cups does it yield?
It should be about six. Well, cups. I haven't broken down the cups, but for servings, it should last you about 6 to 8. So that's about 6 to 8 days. So I would say then three to 4 cups. Yeah, 3 to 4 cups for the whole serving. So yeah, for the whole dish.
Thank you. For the chia seeds, can you use milk, almond, or soy milk, or even water?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. Again, I was hearing sorry, could you say
Uh,
that again, Ali?
Milk, almond, or soy milk, or even water?
Yeah, any of those things would be great. If we're just talking about like what you can add chia seeds to, yes, any of those liquids are great. I will say, day to day, I will have um, like I'll fill up my water bottle with water, lemon, and some chia seeds, maybe about like a tablespoon or two, and I'll drink that throughout the day just so I have some lemon chia water. And it will still do the same thing. It will still kind of um, it will clump and get to that gel-like consistency. Probably not so much as the chia seed pudding here. If you put it in water, like just water by itself, probably won't get as thick and pudding-like. But yes, if you use almond milk or soy milk, it will definitely do the job as well. It'll do the job just as great as the coconut milk, and it will still give you the pudding texture.
One more question, Lindsay.
Thank you.
How
Yeah.
do you eat this pudding?
How do you eat the pudding?
Is this a dessert or what is this for?
Yes, so I like to use it as a breakfast option. So again, with the flavors of the coconut of the coconut, yes, it's very tropical, it's very fruity and creamy, and so with that I use it as a breakfast option. Again, it's nice to prepare ahead of time, and I'm going to show everyone here that in just a moment. But yes, I use it as a breakfast option. You can even use it as a snack, but I would say maybe just like the fruit on its own might be some snack, but depending on what your needs are and in your restrictions, you can use it as a snack. But in my opinion, I like having it for breakfast.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the questions. All right, so getting us into assembly, before that, I want to just highlight the fruit that I'll be using today. And this is fruit that you can find at your local farmer's market. And with that, I'll just do a bit of breakdown of the prices as well. So again, I know this is for Contra Costa County, but I got this from my berry vendor, Medina Berry Farms. And I got for $15, I got 3 flats of berries. And I'll be honest with you, there was another vendor there, and it was like $7 for each of these. So I think I got the better deal there. And yes, so this is produce you can find at your local farmer's market. This is what's in season right now. What I didn't see at the market, which is not in season, but stone fruit like peaches and yes, peaches would be really great with this recipe. And then also what I'll be using and adding to this recipe are little mandarin oranges. I also got this from my vendor, J&J Ramos Farms, that you might find throughout Contra Costa farmers markets. This was a half-pound bag for $5. So I really think I got my bang for my buck for this recipe. So make sure you check out your farmers market. And with that, we'll assemble. All right, so I have about a jar here. It's not going to get completely full just because of how much we're putting in here, but it's really nice to see the layers of everything. All right. So like I mentioned, we'll put about a half cup. I'm going to layer it. So I'm going to start with fourth cup, and I'm just, might even put less, honestly, but we're going to start putting a layer at the bottom. All right, and then I'll start layering my fruit. Here is my pre-cut fruit, those mandarin oranges, some strawberries and blueberries. I like to make a nice little layer in between each of my layers of chia seed pudding, because then I get the different flavors. I'll get a little burst of the mandarin orange in there as well. And for fruit here, I would say about a third cup, a little less than half a cup here that we'll use. So a nice little layer of my fruit there. And then we're just gonna add one more layer of the chia seed pudding that I have over here. One more layer. Sorry, hopefully everyone can see that. And I know the quantity doesn't look like a lot, but the chia seeds and the coconut milk, all everything here will has a lot of fiber to help us stay full and give us all those nutrients. And then I'm going to put my second layer of berry fruit. All right. I just love looking at the colors, the different layers, and again, it's not going to be filled all the way, but you get the idea. All right, and then some optional toppings that we have as well are just slivered almonds or some pumpkin seeds if you like that crunch in there. I'm not gonna add them, not my favorite in my chia seed pudding, but if you love that crunch with the different textures, go for it. Add more nutritional value into your chia seed pudding. And there you have it. Again, this is just like a simple amount that we can make. It's not reflective of everyone's intake or restrictions, but this is our chia seed pudding. And so for the breakdown of everything, All right. I was actually really surprised I was putting this together because I was worried about some of the ingredients that can be a little bit on the more pricey side, depending on what works for us. But for our chia seed pudding, it came to about $3.42. That's not bad. This is cheaper than like getting egg bites at Starbucks, cheaper than like those other breakfast things that they have at Starbucks. And again, this will last you about 5 to 8 days. Super simple to make, super quick and simple to make. I think the only hard part is waiting overnight to give it a try and getting excited to have it for lunch. But yes, here we have our chia seed pudding. Not sure if we have to show folks, but there is our chia seed pudding with our seasonal berries and our seasonal mandarins that we use as toppings. And so with that, as I mentioned, we can't find the majority of our main ingredients at the farmer's market, but you can definitely find berries in season and mandarins. That's what I felt like were the best pairings to go with my chia seed pudding today. But again, stone fruit is also a really great option when it's in season. So definitely try out this chia seed pudding recipe, and also in the springtime as the weather starts to warm up and we can kind of get those tropical fun flavors for breakfast. So yes, that is all I have for our chia seed pudding. I know we also might have questions as well. So yes, thank you. $3.42 was the end price for a single serving. And that includes our berry toppings as well.
One question.
Yes,
Lindsay, how long will it stay at in the refrigerator?
I would say a week. No, so because it, yeah, no, a week. At that seventh day, I would just check it, make sure it smells okay. But if everything, if it smells okay, you know, just using our senses to kind of to check and gauge our food, it should still be good by then. So no, so a week.
One more question. Would you say coconut cream makes it a thicker consistency?
Um, Yes, just because it has that extra fat content. Honestly, if you're using if you would like to use coconut cream, I would combine a can of coconut cream and a can of coconut milk. So you kind of get that variation. And then again, also the coconut cream has that higher fat content. So just checking in with your doctor, just making sure just because of the high fat content that you might have just might have to be mindful about. But I would say coconut cream, it does make it a little more thick and creamy, but sometimes I like to mix it in. So yeah, just you can kind of plug and play with the dish here and the different liquids that you can use because they all offer different nutritional value and different flavors and textures. So yes, thank you for the question.
Says, thank you for sharing a healthy recipe. Hope you have more food demos on this platform. Thank you
Yes,
so much, Lindsay, for your time today.
of
So we
course.
hope to see you in the future again. And our food demo team will be back next Tuesday. So please attend everyone for our next food demo. And tomorrow we will be featuring how to heal from traumatic events and PTSD with Soraya Keating. Essential skills for coping, recovery,